professorship at St. Bonaventure University. It sounds like there's noise in there. My MS was from the University of Nevada, and my bachelor's was from the Ohio State University in astronomy and biology. And I've done research and teaching at the Ohio State University, College of Medicine, the University of Nevada. I worked for the Defense Intelligence Agency. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're doing good.
Okay. Yeah, I have a call coming in. That's a problem. I was employed at PhD level by the DIA, research in satellite photography, including its air order of battle section, which involved aircraft identification and above top secret security clearances. I was employed in MS level work as a physical scientist cartographer at the Aerospace Center, also using satellite photography. I also worked at Battelle Memorial Institute, and I've been sent for work-related purposes to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. I was a volunteer astronomer at the Ohio State University Radio Observatory, also called Big Ear, which is noted for the WOW SETI signal, which may be humanity's only signal from ET. I'm an amateur astronomer. I've taken flying lessons, and I was a correspondent for Popular Mechanics magazine. I've published books and works in peer-reviewed scientific journals and magazines and newspapers, and my photography has been published. So far as UFOs, I served on the MUFON Board of Directors from 1993 to 2000 and was a consultant in astronomy and physiology and a field investigator. I was also a founding member of a local group called Mid-Ohio Research Associates, and editor of their notebook. I've published in the UFO literature in the MUFON Journal, the International UFO Reporter, and Fate magazine. So that's my resume, my bio.
It's pretty impressive. TJ, are you still here?
Oh.
She may be on mute. Well, you have a book out that I find intriguing. I spoke with you about it a while back. It's Inside the Lightning Ball, and that's not your last book. Your last book is Sacred Corridors, right?
Yeah.
But I was telling TJ a little about the Inside Lightning Ball, and I'd like you to tell our audience. I mean, me and you have talked about it already on my show on another station, but this is a completely another station, a whole another set of listeners. So I would like you to explain that book a little bit to our audience, please.
It's about, the others are about my UFO investigations, and Inside the Lightning Ball, it is about my own UFO experiences. I call it Inside the Lightning Ball because once I might have been inside lightning ball, and I took a picture of it, and I compared lightning balls to UFOs in my book, and I started out by thinking that lightning balls were prosaic objects, and after doing a lot of research, I think some of them are kind of weird too. But would you want me to describe my my UFO experiences?
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay. These started out before I ever heard of UFOs or anything. And many, many years ago, my sister and I had an experience, and it was a lot of years later before we figured out that it might have been UFO related. But we were small kids. I think she was about 4 and I was about 6. And we were really poor, and we lived on a farm. we were sleeping in an attic room in beds on the other side of the room with walls that sort of sloped up as attics do in a space of about 3 feet in between the walls. We hadn't heard about UFOs. Our parents had got electricity, but we just had one radio and things like that, so we weren't knowledgeable about anything. We hadn't heard of UFOs or anything like that, so we didn't know anything about what was happening. But it was night, and it was a clear night. My whole family remembers this, so I have other people that will mention it too. I woke up, and this object was flying around our bedroom. I had no idea what it was. It looked like a piece of hot metal, and it was just sort of going in a browsing motion. It was flying around the room, and at that young age, I realized it wasn't anything normal because the room was dark, and it avoided things, like it wouldn't bump into a wall, and it avoided furniture and things, like it could see or like it knew where things were. And it flew around. It got close to both of us. I had no idea what it was, and I didn't say anything to her, and I didn't even know she was awake. But apparently we both woke up at about the same time, and we're watching it. And it flew around for a while, and it was just like it looked like a piece of metal. It was small, and it had a glow around it. Well, after a while, it flew up to the ceiling, but it didn't hit the ceiling. It turned at a right angle before it got to the ceiling, and there was a lamp turned off in the middle of the room. And it flew to that. It didn't feel its way around or anything, but it just began to circle the chandelier. And it seemed to know where the chandelier was. It didn't bump into a wall. It circled between the chandelier and the wall, and it just circled and circled and circled. And it seemed to speed up a little. And then it just took a perfectly geometrical spiral down under the chandelier. And at that time, I just suddenly became absolutely terrified, so scared you couldn't believe it. And my sister started shrieking at the same time. We both were terrified. We ran out of the room, and we bumped into each other and fell down the stairs screaming and shrieking. And we went to our parents, who didn't really believe us. So that was our first experience with a possible UFO. And we had no idea what it was. But many, many years later, I read writing by Jenny Randalls. She's an English ufologist, and she talked about bedroom-type sightings where small children will see small UFOs like in their bedroom or someplace. And then later, when they grow up, sometimes they become repeat sighters and see more. And usually this is just one person. And usually nobody believes a kid that comes down and says, well, something was flying in our room. But in our case, there were two of us, and then we later had sightings together, a sighting together when we were adults. And so this was a pretty unusual event.
Right. Well, you've actually been since you were, what, 7, you said, I think?
6.
6, okay. So, so you've been a contactee for your whole life, basically, then?
I've had experiences. I don't know if I'm a contactee. I guess people would call it different things. Yeah,
well, I've never had one, so I'm not really sure how the terminology goes.
Yeah, can you hear me now at all? Can you hear me?
There we go. Now you're back.
Okay, is it full on or am I muted somewhat? I mean, it feels like I'm talking into a brick.
It's kind of muffled.
Okay, I'll call back in on the other line. But yeah, just so you know, folks, there's lifers like myself and Dr. Scott that have been involved with beings of one type or another, or some type of intelligence that wants to make sure we know they're around. And some people break it into the contactees, the abductees, and the experiencers, and there's many more others besides that. Then they break down those interested in UFOs as enthusiasts, researchers, or they call them the nuts and bolts, meaning the craft only, and then those that are interested in alienology or those driving these ships are in command alienologists, of anyone that's like I call them extraterrestrials or anything, and it's more of a spiritual essence. So it's really a play on words, and we're going to be discussing a lot with taxonomy and what's out there and all of that. So Dr. Scott is highly, absorbed in the energy that we talk about, and I've never been to any of these events. So any UFO events, I'm looking forward to my first whenever that happens. Our UFO Congress sends me a invitation every year. I haven't got one from MUFON. I don't guess they send cordial invitations or asking. I don't know, Dr. Scott. You may know more than that, but, I guess you have to be a member or something to get a cordial invitation. But I do have myself on their email list, so we'll have to talk about all those events. But now, is it that you are going to one of these events with MUFON? They haven't had it yet, right? The 50th, or have they already had the 50th anniversary in California?
Yeah, I'm a speaker of their annual meeting this year, which will be in July.
Oh, okay. Well, give us a little intel on that. We're, me and Matt are putting together both the UFO Association and Alien Contact Organization together with the National Director, Dr. Bruce Maccabee, but also for the ACO Association, which would be more of a volunteer group. And I guess it's a lot like MUFON. They're all nonprofit and volunteer. So we're going to try to do the same and hope you can assist us with that. And Ahmad can tell you about that. But tell us, first of all, about what you know about the 50th. And I know you met Jen Harzen or know of him, but tell us of the people again that you remember. You go way back before I got involved in 2008 with it was Captain McDonald. And before that was, I think it was James Carrion. Carrion became friends of mine. So, yeah, James Carrion and Captain McDonald. I don't even know his first name. The one was in Dayton, Ohio. So anything about that prior you could help record here would be great. And I'm going to swap phones. So imagine, I'm going to be back on mute while I call back in on another phone, okay?
Okay.
There you go. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
Me?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am. She wanted you to tell us about some of the people that you've met over the years involved in the UFO phenomenon.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah.
I can tell you who I was on the board of directors several years ago, and I can tell you who else I met back then, if you're interested.
Yes, ma'am. That's what she was talking about. Didn't you meet Heinrich at one time too?
I talked to him. I've talked to him and met him. I didn't really know him very well. I published his handwritten letters, though, and he invited me to his home in Arizona once, but I wasn't able to go. I'll just list some people I did know from back then. One of them was Walt Andrus, who was the international director, and another was, he's dead now. Another was John Schuessler, the deputy director. He did a lot of research on the, I forget, it was in Texas. It was where a big object came down and it was surrounded by helicopters. I can't think of the name of it, though. And he was one of the original founders of the MUFON. Another one was